just embarrassing. Every step of the way, they're finding new lows to hit. Today, Xbox has announced a Game Pass change, and it's a doozy. Try a 50% price increase to the Game Pass Ultimate tier. Yeah.
And I think also it's locking the day one. I think locking day one games to that ultimate tier is the real thing that's problematic, because that's the enshittification that Prime Video and Netflix have already gone through and we are very familiar with.
It's no secret that the leadership at Xbox has made some questionable decisions lately. Games quietly canceled left and right, new releases underperforming, Game Pass price hikes that hit subscribers right in the wallet, and a whole other parade of goofs and gaffes. But at least it still felt like Xbox had a tiny spark of life left after the announcements of Halo and Gears of War going to other platforms, and then building real hype around the new Gears game, and even reviving the beloved franchise Fable. I mean, I was cautiously optimistic. At least that was until they showed the gameplay deep dive. Don't get me wrong, the world looked absolutely outstanding, lush, vibrant, full of that classic Fable charm. But then they cut to the NPCs, and they're straight out of a low-budget indie game, and the character creator was clearly half-baked, rushed in at the last minute after the massive backlash from fans who watched the original protagonist design get toned down and then made noticeably less attractive because, well, progressive. But even with all of the red flags showing, I still held out hope, and unfortunately, Xbox may have ultimately succeeded in sending their own death into lightspeed with their tone-deaf appointment of their new CEO, Asha Sharma, an AI executive with no experience in gaming, and that's not a mistake. Zero executive experience in gaming, and this move comes right at a time when AI assisted or generated content is being criticized more than ever and gamers are demanding more authenticity. And Microsoft's answer to this was to appoint a CEO with zero gaming experience and a background of cold, calculated business and AI decisions that have nothing to do with gaming. Now, if that move doesn't completely boggle the mind, the fact that they let her interact with passionate Xbox fans and gamers alike about video games is shocking, and the results are literally the Steve Buscemi "how do you do, fellow kids" meme. And recently, we've heard more about how AI was used in the remake of the original Halo campaign, and things are starting to make sense. Microsoft has stopped rewarding original creativity and are on to bigger business ventures in entertainment rather than providing fans with what they want or providing any reassurance that gamers are their main focus. And Microsoft rarely has taken a step in the right direction for gamers after the disaster of the Xbox One era. And just when it seemed we had a few good things around the corner, Microsoft made sure to tailor to absolutely nobody but the shareholders. I mean, that's classic. This is a classic example of why it's so hard for companies to give their players and customer base what they want. Ultimately, it's a mix of business level decisions made without consumer interest in mind, in combination with progressives who are embedded into the gaming industry and can rarely ever make a decent game title and just can't overcome their urge to hijack a brand. Combine this with studios being pressured to hire companies like Sweet Baby Inc. to consult on their games, and this spells doom for a Western gaming brand like Xbox. When you look at the totality of the circumstances surrounding Xbox, all of this explains why they bend over backwards and spend countless hours pulling focus groups or chasing the mythical modern audience and actively ignore the audience that made their original titles blockbuster hits. Their focus is no longer on us, and in turn, our focus no longer needs to be on them. And just remember, it wasn't that long ago when Baldur's Gate 3 was criticized by Western game devs as a standard that should not be expected of every game. Seriously, like, that game had so much effort and care put into it that players flocked to it. I'm still playing the game years later, it's that huge, and it isn't even the scale of the game that people are concerned with. It's giving players what they want and tailoring the game to what they find interesting. This is why more and more Eastern game devs are racking up so much credibility with the Western audience, because we have made it crystal clear what exactly we want in our games. And what exactly is it that we want from our games? Well, first, no more poorly optimized slop that has been fed through an overstaffed studio with deadlines to appease shareholders. and no more day one patches required to make the game playable, and no more roadmaps for post-launch support that fix the game and promise to add features that should have been in the game at launch. I swear, every time I see a roadmap for a post-launch support, I consider the project dead or fully dying at this point. That's how often they deliver on their promises. Hopefully, Microsoft pulls off the impossible here, and the Xbox brand of games and studio partners pull off a miracle, but just holding out hope isn't going to do it anymore. Stop buying their slop just because you have FOMO, and start letting these people's terrible business decisions blow up in their faces until they adapt or they're let go.
Time to wake up, stupid bitch. What are you doing around here trying to create this garbage? You've got your pronouns here. You've got this fucking organization that's just designed to disenfranchise people who you don't get virtue signal points from. And now you lost your job. Time to wake the fuck up. God, I love to see this. I fucking love this. This is amazing.
I completely agree with Asmongold whenever I see these posts about developers being laid off or fired, because I'm all out of sympathy for people who work day in and day out to provide inferior quality products. If there's one theme that I want people to notice in my channel, it's that redefining incentive structures in our culture would solve most of our problems. If a game releases in a bugged state, don't buy it. If they patch the game to a playable state or even a really solid final product, but still doesn't fulfill even half the list of promised content like Cyberpunk, only buy the game on sale. Don't let these companies abuse your trust over and over again for your resources, and stop putting yourself in the position of, well, the game isn't what was promised or advertised to me, but I still had fun. By the way, if you're that fan and you keep complaining about the multiplayer game or product you get every year, you're enabling this behavior and you should not be complaining. Find something else that is more fun or fulfilling for your time and doesn't insult you with a low effort showing. Take you and your friends to other services and support those studios that reward your time and money with a quality product. If it isn't what they marketed or promised, it should be considered the same as fraud or a scam in the court of public opinion. Taking steps like this, no matter how small, is the only real leverage we have left. Your wallet is the vote that actually counts, and when enough of us use it, these companies either adapt or they die. And that's about everything for today. Be sure to follow me on my socials, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.